To welcome Stuart back to the Uncommon Sense studio. Thank you for joining me today, Stuart.
Good afternoon. Good to see you.
And we're going to talk about is not, which is new to me. I have to be honest. It's not a tool I've used, so I'm fascinated. First of all, tell me what's made you choose this.
So I'm a big advocate of 8D problem solving, which is something that I'm sure we've got other common sense webinars around and various other materials. But one of the most important tools in 8D problem solving is a tool called is not. And I think it's just something I've seen a lot over the years being used, but not used to its best effect. Even to the extent that I was talking to one of my colleagues the other day about this upcoming episode of Uncommon Sense, and they themselves confessed, if you like, that they'd struggled with the application of is not to get real benefit from it. And it kind of just validated the idea that maybe it was something good to talk about. So yeah, I'm hoping that spending 10 or so minutes talking about it, we can talk more about how to make it really work for you and get from it what it's designed to do.
Great. So, is it worth starting with a sort of description about what it is and so on,
And what
and
it's
then
not.
perhaps what
Yes.
it's not, and then go into how best to.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a beautifully simple tool, but like quite a lot of beautifully simple tools, it needs a little bit of skill still to apply it in the best way. So generally speaking, it's a set of pretty standard questions that when you have a problem, you use these questions to help you describe more fully the problem. So let me just, I'll give you the example of what the typical questions are. So it would be relating to, what is the problem? What is not the problem? Where is the problem? Where is the problem not? When is the problem? When is the problem not? How much of the problem, or what's the extent of the problem? So, how much of a product, a process, or a service is affected, and how much is not affected?
Okay.
So, they're really quite simple, basic questions, but to get value from them is the trick. So, typically, what I've seen over the years is that people will be working on a problem and they'll see that using is not is a way of helping you understand better the scope of the problem, what's in scope, what's out of scope, help you focus and help you communicate to some extent. So all really highly value adding stuff to get from using the tool, but it often fails to go further. And for those that are real 8D fans, and we might get more of this in later episodes, there are some other methods, techniques that build on is not to develop theories for what root cause might be and to test theories to verify potential root causes. And the reason it does that is because, there is some very hard black and white evidence, if you like, captured in years is not questions when you answer those questions well. So what I really try and encourage people to do is not to use is not purely to help scope and to focus on what the problem is that you need to work on. It's to look for clues. If you ask the question skillfully and you answer them with a mindset of I want to answer this in a way that I can have follow-on questions or go and seek information. What are the little crumbs that I might be able to find that will lead me down the path to root cause? That's what you want going on in your mind, not just here's a set of standard questions I'm going to walk through, tick, 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 tick,
Okay.
tick.
That makes complete sense. Uncommon sense, even.
Uncommon. And now, as always, as well, we have templates for so many things in our line of work, but don't be constrained by the template. Now, if we take these standard questions and take, for example, the question where. So you're asking the question, where is the problem? Where is the problem not? So without talking about a specific problem, I could say, well, it's in Slough it's not in Milton Keynes. I could say it's in the kitchen, it's not in the restaurant. I could say, no, a number of different ways of interpreting what does where mean. And obviously, there's no point in answering it in a way which isn't useful.
Yes.
So again, it's not following the motions. It's what's a useful way of interpreting this question to get something useful that will help me solve the problem. And often, obviously, observing the process, observing the product, the service will help you with what are those good questions to ask and what's a good way of answering them.
And I completely understand what you're saying. It feels like it's like don't oversimplify this by just, as you say, simply following the questions, the
Yeah,
template. So apply more thinking to the use of the tool.
yeah,
Are you
exactly. Yeah.
are you able to give us some more examples of how that might play out?
I'm going to, and I think this isn't the first time I've talked about pizza and uncommon sense. And anybody who's been lucky enough to come and dine in my home pizza restaurant will probably understand. But so I'm going to talk about pizzas because hopefully everyone can relate to it, and it'll make my daughter chuckle when I talk to her later on about it. So I'm going to talk about the problem of some sort of a quality related issue with your pizzas that you're producing in your restaurant. So I'm going to ask the question what, and the what might be, what is the defect? Well, the defect is a soggy base. That no, nobody wants a soggy base. It is not an undercooked pizza. So okay, so it's helping me understand some scope of what the problem is and what it isn't. So that's useful. It's not prompting too much else in my thinking just yet. But it is a soggy base. It's not undercooked. Okay. But I could also say, what is the item exhibiting the defect, and what is it not? So it's again the same question, but applying it differently. So it is vegetarian pizzas. It's not pizzas with meat toppings or vegan toppings. Okay, so that's helped with the scope. I'm only looking at vegetarian pizzas. But what's in my mind already then is, well, why is it only vegetarian pizzas? What's different around pizzas that have got meat toppings or vegan pizzas? So that's one of those clues, which is much more than just scoping. There's something to go and investigate. I could then ask where. So where on the item is the defect being observed? It might be, well, it's on the base. It's a soggy base, obviously. So it hasn't helped me hugely. But where is the problem not? Well, it's not on the crust. I don't know whether that's useful or not at the moment, but it might be. So it's something that might prompt me to think about, well, why is the crust not affected? Don't know, it might be useful. I could also say where in the process is the defect observed. So same question, where, but where in the process? So, well, it's experienced when we cut the pizza before serving. So it's put on the pass, someone's cutting it up, and that's when we first observe that it's got a soggy base. It's not earlier, it's not later. And again, that might be like, well, okay, obviously we didn't have the opportunity earlier and later. Well, we're not going to serve it to the customer if we know it's soggy, maybe. But however, it might lead a thought which is, well, we observe it when we cut it up, but I wonder if there is a way of being able to predict that it's soggy or detect that it's soggy before it does get that far and find some way of detecting it earlier on. I don't know. Probably way too soon to think about that, but maybe a thought that you come back to later on. And it comes to when, so when was the defect first observed? So pizzas made since June the 23rd, not before the 23rd. Okay, what changed? So, is not 8D problem solving. A lot of problem solving is about when something's changed. So here's a classic one. What happened in or around the 23rd of June? Let's go investigate. Same question, when? When has the defect been seen since? So it is seen continuously. So it's carrying on. It's not intermittent. It doesn't come and go. So there's something about the nature of the problem I'd expect to see there present all the time. So it helps clarify the scope and the type of problem. How much are the pizzas affected? So this is the extent question now. How much is affected? Uniformly across the pizza, but only in the centre three quarters, not on the outer quarter. So, well, what's that then? Why is that different? Why isn't the outer quarter affected? It's another clue to help you in your problem solving, your idea generation. How many items are affected? So, how many pizzas are affected? Well, it's 50% of the vegetarian pizzas. It's not 100%. Well, why is it only 50% of them? And another great clue, what can you find in the way that the pizzas are being processed, the ingredients, who's cooking them, whatever else conditions that correlates with this fact that it's only 50%, not 100%. So it's, again, much more than scope, it's problem solving. And then the last one, which is often a tricky one, which is the extent question, is sometimes how many defects per affected item. Now, we've only got one pizza and it's only got one base. So we've got one soggy defect per pizza, because I'm yet to see a pizza with two bases.
Yes.
So it doesn't really help you very much, does it? Well, that's okay, but you might find a way of interpreting it to be useful, but in this case, I haven't, and that's all right. So again, it's a template, but use it sensibly.
Yes.
Go on, sorry,
I was going to say, as you were going through that, what was interesting, what I observed as somebody who's new to this is I'm thinking, oh, it's the tomatoes. It's got to be the tomatoes. And of course, and I'm stopping myself because we don't jump to solutions, but also as you went through, increasingly, my curiosity was, oh, well, it's probably not the tomatoes then, and maybe, and so the value of all the questions. Is for me it became much more evident about going all the way through.
And the reason why it's so powerful is that you come up with your theories that people naturally do, right, Suze? And we could do a load of idea generation, load of coming up with different theories. But if that theory doesn't stand up to the logic you've caught in this is not, then it's not the root cause. So you can use these answers to test the theories that we come up with. So you could say, well, it's the tomato sauce. The tomato sauce changed on that date. It matches that it changed on June 23rd. That's the root cause. But then if you look at it and say, well, but I used the same tomato sauce on vegetarian, vegan and meat top pizzas, it doesn't match that fact. So throw it out. So it's incredibly powerful for testing theories and stopping people from leaping to assumptions and not having the data that backs things up. So I love it. It's so much more than just scoping.
Yes.
It's the most powerful, for me, first step in problem solving, and it's all data, not opinions. And so it's rock solid, which is a rare thing when it comes to problem solving.
No, it's great, Stuart, and I really enjoyed hearing about it. Thank you very much for sharing your enthusiasm. And do obviously come back, let us know what was the cause of the soggy bottom.
Well, I could tell you now, because developing this, I had to come up with my own ideas. So I'm busting to tell you, but it's not smart sauce. I can't tell you. You have to wait till next
Trade
episode.
secret. Thank you very much, Stuart. Much appreciated. Good to see you.
Likewise. Bye for now.
Bye.